Welcome back to Contact Pod. You're joining us for the third episode in our series, Wharton Professors Forecast 2025. And today we're going to be doing a deep dive into Professor Lin Wu's predictions on AI and innovation. Specifically, how AI is going to totally reshape the innovation landscape by 2025. We're going to go way beyond the usual AI taking our jobs headlines and look at how it might actually supercharge the process of innovation right from the start, from the ground up.
Yeah, what's really fascinating is how Professor Wu challenges the idea that AI is only for big companies. Her research shows that even smaller companies are finding some really creative ways to leverage AI, almost like how search ads kind of leveled the playing field in advertising 20 years ago.
Right. It's making these tools available to everybody, which opens up so many possibilities for businesses of all sizes. Imagine what this could mean for our listeners out there, regardless of, the size of their venture.
Yeah.
But what about the workforce, though? There's a lot of anxiety around AI replacing jobs. Does Professor Wu talk about that at all?
She does. And instead of just focusing on replacement, she highlights the idea of complementarity. Humans and machines working together. She thinks we need to redesign our work processes to encourage this kind of collaboration and create systems that really take advantage of the strengths of both humans and AI.
So it's not about AI taking over, but more like humans and AI working together, almost like a new kind of team or something. But Professor Wu also points out that AI still has its limitations, right? Like the whole hallucination problem, where AI can just make confidently wrong statements. What does that even mean?
So the hallucination problem basically refers to when AI, even though it's so sophisticated, it can generate outputs that are just factually incorrect or they're logically flawed. It's like AI saying something with total confidence that's just plain wrong. And this really shows how important it is to have human experts to look at what AI produces, spot those errors and guide how it's being used. It emphasizes that even though AI is super powerful, it's not magic and it still needs that human touch.
Right. AI can process information and find patterns incredibly fast, but it still needs humans to make sure things are accurate and make sense in context. So for our listeners, the key takeaway is to be aware of these limitations while also, being excited about AI's potential. So let's talk about how AI is actually affecting the innovation process. Professor Wu's research really shows how AI is revolutionizing prototyping, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Professor Wu gives some really specific examples of how AI is changing the game. For example, AI can super quickly generate tons of different ad copies. It can even guide the creation of physical prototypes, and it can even create these feedback loops using user data to constantly refine and improve those prototypes.
Wow, it sounds like AI is taking prototyping to warp speed. What does that mean for businesses both big and small?
I mean, this faster prototyping gives companies a huge advantage. No matter their size, they can test ideas way faster and get products to market quicker. Imagine testing dozens of product variations in the same time it used to take to create just one. It lets companies be so much more agile and responsive to what the market wants.
Yeah, that kind of speed and agility can be a total game changer in today's world.
Yeah.
Makes you think about how this rapid prototyping could change your own industry, or even just your own creative process. But even with all these advancements, Professor Wu mentioned some challenges with AI-driven innovation. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Sure. So Professor Wu says that even though it's super effective, AI-driven innovation tends to be more recombinational and incremental. It's really good at combining existing ideas in new ways, or making small improvements to already existing products. Now, this does drive a lot of economic growth, but it makes you wonder about the future of those really radical, groundbreaking innovations.
So AI is great at optimizing what we have, but maybe not the best at coming up with completely new disruptive ideas. It's a really interesting problem.
It is. If AI makes those smaller improvements cheaper and faster, what happens to the incentive to go after those riskier, groundbreaking ideas? The ones that create those completely new products and services.
It's almost like AI could accidentally create a bias towards making small improvements, even if it's not on purpose. That's definitely something to think about. So looking ahead to 2025, what does Professor Wu think the future of AI holds?
Well, she definitely acknowledges that AI is growing exponentially, but she also points out some potential limitations that could hold it back. One big concern is the availability of what she calls high-fidelity data. AI models need huge amounts of data to learn, and as AI creates more and more content, the risk is that future AI will be trained on this AI-generated content, and that might not be as good as real-world data.
That's almost like a paradox, right? AI success at creating content could actually end up hurting the quality data it needs to keep getting better. What happens if the data AI relies on becomes less and less reliable?
It's a really important question, especially for things like medicine, finance, or law, where being accurate and relevant to the real world is absolutely crucial. Professor Wu also points out that the high cost of AI tools could be a barrier if only a few big companies can afford them. It could limit access for smaller businesses and individuals, which could slow down how widely AI is adopted and potentially even stifle innovation.
It sounds like 2025 is going to be a really important year for AI, like a crossroads where its huge growth might be challenged by these limitations in data quality and accessibility. It's a fascinating tension that Professor Wu highlights, and it definitely gives us a lot to think about.
It really does. On one hand, we have the amazing potential of AI to speed up innovation across all kinds of industries. And on the other hand, we have these new challenges that could really change its path.
Yeah, and we're going to be digging deeper into these potential limitations and what they mean for the future of innovation in the next part of our deep dive.
So we were just talking about how the availability and the quality of data might actually become like a bottleneck for AI, as it keeps developing. And that's a challenge that a lot of researchers are dealing with right now.
Yeah, it's super complex, and it has huge implications, especially because AI is so dependent on having tons of data to learn from and evolve. Does Professor Wu suggest any solutions for this, like how to deal with these challenges?
She does. She talks about the importance of developing what she calls human-centered AI. Basically, it's about systems that are designed with things like human well-being, fairness, and transparency as like top priorities.
Okay, so it's about making sure that AI technologies are developed and used ethically and responsibly,
Yeah.
and focusing on how they can help humans rather than just replacing them.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond just creating powerful algorithms and really thinking about how those algorithms are going to be part of our lives, our work, and our communities.
Right. So it's not just about the tech itself. It's about how it fits into the bigger picture.
Hmm.
Professor Wu also talks about the need for education and training to get people ready for this AI-driven future.
Right. She does. She says we need to give people the knowledge and skills to work well alongside AI.
So like understanding what AI can and can't do.
Exactly. And also developing those critical thinking skills that are needed to interpret AI's output and make good decisions.
It's about empowering people to use AI as a tool rather than feeling like it's a threat or that it's going to replace them. It's about fostering what you might call AI literacy.
I like that, AI literacy. Yeah, we need to make AI less mysterious, make it accessible, and make sure that people feel confident and comfortable using these technologies.
I think that's so important, especially as AI becomes more and more integrated into our lives. But beyond just the workforce, Professor Wu also mentions that AI could create entirely new business models and even disrupt entire industries, right?
Right. She actually points to healthcare as a perfect example. AI is already being used to diagnose diseases, develop personalized treatment plans, and even assist with surgery. Imagine a future where AI helps doctors make faster and more accurate diagnoses, or where treatments are specifically designed for your individual genetic makeup.
That's amazing. It's like having a super specialized medical team that's just for you, constantly adapting and making sure you're getting the best possible care.
Yeah.
So what other industries does Professor Wu think are going to be disrupted by AI?
Well, she talks about how AI is ready to revolutionize a whole bunch of things, from transportation and logistics to finance and retail. AI algorithms can do things like optimize shipping routes, predict changes in the stock market, personalize shopping experiences, and even create new forms of art and entertainment.
Wow, it sounds like the possibilities are almost endless.
Yeah.
AI is already becoming a part of pretty much every aspect of our lives.
It really is. Professor Wu's insights suggest that we're at the very beginning of a massive transformation where AI is going to reshape not just specific industries, but our entire society.
So with all this potential for change, what does this mean for entrepreneurs and innovators who want to use AI?
It means that there are so many opportunities out there. We need to be creative and think about how we can use AI to solve problems, create new products and services, and even invent entirely new industries. We
Wow.
need to embrace AI's potential while also being aware of its limitations and the ethical considerations.
So it sounds like 2025 is going to be a really crucial year for AI, a year where we'll probably see major advancements being used more widely across different fields, but it's also a year where we need to be asking some tough questions. Professor Wu brings up some challenges that could come up if AI isn't developed and used responsibly.
Exactly. One of the biggest questions she asks is, how do we make sure that AI benefits everyone and not just a select few? How do we prevent AI from making existing inequalities worse or creating new ones?
That's such a crucial question. It's about making sure that everyone has equal access to AI technologies and that everyone can benefit from its potential.
Absolutely. We also need to be thinking about the bigger picture impact of AI on society. What happens to jobs as AI starts automating more and more tasks? How do we prepare the workforce for these changes and ensure that everyone has the opportunity to succeed in an economy that's driven by AI?
These are all incredibly important questions, and we need to start addressing them now to make sure that this AI revolution is a positive thing for all of humanity. We need to recognize that AI isn't just a technological thing, but a societal one, and its development and use should be guided by human values and ethical principles.
That's exactly right. Professor Wu reminds us that we have the power to shape the future of AI. We can choose to use it to create a world that's fairer, more sustainable, and more fulfilling for everyone. Or we can let it worsen existing problems and create new ones. The choice is ultimately up to us.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential of AI and some of the limitations it's facing and the ethical stuff surrounding its development. But let's look at some real-world examples of AI innovation that give us a glimpse of what Professor Wu's talking about.
Yeah, one area where we're already seeing some crazy advancements is personalized medicine. Professor Wu talks about how AI can look at a patient's genes, lifestyle, and medical history to create treatments that are specifically designed for them.
That's wild. Like imagine cancer treatments that are tailored to your specific tumor, or mental health therapies that change based on your emotional state in real time.
Exactly. It's like having a medical team that's just focused on you constantly adapting and optimizing your care.
So what other examples are out there that show this kind of transformative power of AI?
Well, Professor Wu also talks about how AI is revolutionizing material science. AI algorithms are being used to create materials with properties that we never thought were possible,
Really? Like what?
like self-healing concrete that could totally change how we build infrastructure, or super lightweight but incredibly strong alloys for aerospace engineering.
It sounds like AI isn't just helping us make better products, but actually creating completely new materials that can do things we never thought possible.
Right, it's like pushing the boundaries of what's physically possible.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
But what about the business world? How is AI changing things there?
Well, Professor Wu highlights supply chain optimization as one example. AI can analyze tons of data like weather patterns, traffic conditions, and consumer demand to create supply chains that are incredibly efficient and resilient.
So fewer delays, less waste, and lower costs for everyone involved.
Exactly. It's a win-win for businesses and consumers.
And I bet AI is having a huge impact on marketing too.
Oh, absolutely. Professor Wu talks about how AI is creating super personalized marketing campaigns that are targeted with insane precision.
So like getting ads that are so relevant to your interests that they actually feel helpful rather than annoying.
Exactly. It's like AI understands our individual preferences in a way that traditional marketing could only dream of.
That's crazy. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? We're seeing AI used in education, finance, agriculture, and even things like art and entertainment.
It really seems like there's no limit to what AI can do. It's already affecting every part of our lives.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Professor Wu's insights, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
I think Professor Wu's most important point is that we get to decide what the future of AI looks like. It's not set in stone. We have the power to use AI to create a world that's fairer, more sustainable, and more fulfilling for everyone. Or we can let it make existing problems worse and create new ones.
It's like AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us to make sure it's used ethically and for the benefit of all humankind.
Exactly. The future of AI isn't something that's just going to happen to us. It's something we create through the choices we make today.
That's a great point. And on that note, we want to thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of AI and innovation. We hope you found it informative, thought-provoking, and maybe even a little inspiring.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Contact Pod for more explorations into the future of technology and business. We'll catch you in the next episode.